term Holocaust originally derives from the Greek word holocauston, meaning a whole burnt sacrificial offering to a god. Its Latin form, holocaustum, was first used with a specific reference to a massacre of Jews by the chroniclers Roger of Howden and Richard of Devizes in the 1190s. During World War II, the word was used to describe Nazi atrocities regardless of whether the victims were Jews or non-Jews. Since the 1960s, the term has come to be used by scholars and popular writers to refer exclusively to the genocide of Jews. Genocide means the deliberate killing of a large group of people, especially those of a particular ethnic group or nation. Leading up to the 1933 elections, the Nazis began intensifying acts of violence among the opposition. With the cooperation of local authorities, they set up camps as concentration centers within Germany. One of the first was Dachau, which opened in March 1933. These early camps were meant to hold, torture, or kill political prisoners, such as communists and social democrats. These early prisons were eventually turned into full-blown, centrally run camps outside the cities. By 1942, 6 large extermination camps had been established in Nazi-occupied Poland. After 1939, the camps increasingly became places where Jews and prisoners of war were either killed or forced to live as slave laborers, undernourished and tortured. It is estimated that the Germans established 15,000 camps in the occupied countries, many of them in Poland. After the invasion of Poland, the German Nazis established ghettos in which Jews were confined until they were eventually shipped to death camps to be murdered. The Warsaw Ghetto was the largest with 380,000 people, and the Lodz Ghetto was the second largest, holding 160,000. They were immensely crowded prisons, described by Michael Berenbaum as instruments of slow, passive murder. Though the Warsaw Ghetto contained 380,000 people, 30% of the population of Warsaw occupied only 2.4% of the city's area, averaging 9.2 people per room. From 1940 to 1942, starvation and disease, especially typhoid, killed hundreds of thousands. Over 43,000 residents of the Warsaw Ghetto died there in 1941. Each ghetto was run by a Judenrat, or a Jewish council of German-appointed Jewish community leaders who were responsible for the day-to-day running of the ghetto, including the provision of food, water, heat, medicine, and shelter, and who were also expected to make arrangements for the deportations to extermination camps. Heinrich Himmler ordered the start of the deportations on July 19, 1942, and 3 days later, on July 22nd, the deportations from the Warsaw Ghetto began. Over the next 52 days until September 12th, 300,000 people from Warsaw alone were transported in freight trains to the Treblinka extermination camp. Many other ghettos were completely depopulated. The German invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941 opened a new phase. The Holocaust intensified after the Nazis occupied Lithuania, where close to 80% of Lithuanian Jews were exterminated before the end of the year. The Soviet territories occupied by early 1942, including all of Belarus, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Ukraine, and Moldova, and most of the Russian territory west of the line Leningrad, Moscow, Rostov, contained about 3 million Jews, including hundreds of thousands who had fled Poland in 1939. Despite the chaos of the Soviet retreat, some effort was made to evacuate the Jews, and about 1 million succeeded in escaping further east. The remaining 3 million were left at the mercy of the Nazis. Starting in December 1939, the Nazis introduced new methods of mass murder by using gas. In the Sachsenhausen concentration camp, large vans holding up to 100 people were used since November 1941. Yet the gas did not come from a cylinder, but directly from the engine's exhaust. These vans were introduced to the Chelmno concentration camp in December 1941, and another 15 of them were used by the death squads in the occupied Soviet Union. These gas vans were developed and run under supervision of the Reich Main Security Bureau, and were used to kill about 500,000 Jews. During 1942, in addition to Auschwitz, 5 other camps were designated as extermination camps for the carrying out of the Reinhard Plan. 2 of these, Chelmno, also known as Kulmhof, and Majdanek, were already functioning as labor camps. These now had an extermination facility in them. 3 new camps were built for the sole purpose of killing a large number of Jews as quickly as possible, at Belzec, Sobibor, and Treblinka. A 7th camp at Mali Trostanets in Belarus was also used for this purpose. Jasenovac was an extermination camp where mostly ethnic Serbs were killed.
Und für dieses Volk und dieses Volk wollen wir ringen und wollen wir kämpfen und niemals erlahmen und niemals ermüden und niemals verzagen und niemals verzweifeln.
That's not even half of everything that happened. There were gas chambers and death marches. Hitler killed about 11 million people in all.